The Grizzlies have to be done with John Morant, don't they? Don't they just have to be? How many times is there a way to catalog our shows where you could do a search of John Morant and then see how many episodes we've done segments about John Morant's behavior and how despondent the Memphis Grizzlies are? Is there any way that we can show that? I assume there has to be. Well, it happened again, folks. Sorry, but true. John Morant was suspended by the Memphis Grizzlies. He was suspended on Saturday for one game. Why would you suspend John Morant? What would be the cause of action? You'd think a gun, some sort of gun-related crime. Nah, just the usual. Conduct detrimental to the team. You see, the Grizzlies in Memphis are trying to figure out whether or not they're going to live the rest of their careers realizing that John Morant is no better than Zion Williamson, realizing that that first two picks of that draft, where it was supposed to be heaven and heaven and heaven for the Pelicans and the Grizzlies, has turned into hell and losing and hell for those two franchises. There's going to be a moment of an epiphany in the great city of Memphis where they will realize the juice is no longer worth the squeeze that is to have John Morant. There will be a moment when you look back on his 5-year, $197.2 million contract and say to yourself, my God, that is the worst contract I ever did in my career. There'll be a moment as your payroll department is paying John Morant his $39.4 million this season that you're looking out on the court and saying, where's Ja? And it won't be because you're singing Crazy Game of Poker with your favorite band, OAR. It'll be because he's suspended. It'll be because he's not performing. It'll be because your team stinks. Remember, the Grizzlies went through an entire coaching change at the end of last year. Do you remember that? And they hired their interim full-time. Do you remember that? Do you remember the fact that John Morant, when asked about the coach, really had nothing to say that was good? He was like, hey, you better go talk to my coaches. Why? Because he wasn't playing the minutes he thought he should play. He was being benched at certain times. You want to know why? Because he's not even one of the top 5 players on that team anymore, and the team is not all that good. The thing that we talk to players about so often is if you want to be a problem off the field, you sure as hell better be a superstar on it. And even then, there may come a point. But if you're going to be mediocre with occasional doses of greatness and mostly an entire season of mediocrity with results for our team that don't add up to deep playoff runs and more revenue, then what? Just not worth it. John Morant as a player, 4869, Coca. 4869, I want to start that differently for John Morant. Here I go. Okay, 4869. Having John Morant as your leader is something the Memphis Grizzlies now have to understand is a mistake that there is no coming back from. This is not a matter of maturity any longer. John Morant is no longer a kid playing in the NBA. John Morant is old enough and has been in the league long enough to know what it is to lead a clubhouse, to lead a locker room, to lead a team, to perform for a team. John Morant, with his injuries, with his off-court problems, is now someone who you have to understand is not even a complimentary piece because he doesn't have the mentality to do it. There are some superstars who are no longer able to, who then end up becoming secondary pieces, but most of them simply can't. John Morant was asked by the media after the game, hey, what's going on? Are you good? And his response was, go ask the coaching staff. Why aren't you playing? Go ask the coaching staff. When your player's doing that, that player gets released or gets traded. When that player is your best player, who is an absolute pain in the neck, you talk to him, you try to help him not do it again, but you go to sleep at night saying, Every morning when I wake up, my PR guy may be calling me with the next thing that player has done. The Memphis Grizzlies go to bed every night saying, what now for Ja Morant? When Ja Morant is dialed in, not injured, not suspended, leading them to victories, I'll put my head on the pillow and wait for the call. But when he's not even playing, when he's hurt, when he's not performing, I don't want that call anymore. If you think that there will not be a move made with Ja Morant by the Memphis Grizzlies, you're just wrong. I promise you, something's got to give.